Hi, welcome to today's video. Today I'd like to share with you the books I read in February. I feel like this month has just been going forever. I feel like January was about a week long and February seems to be around 10, so I don't remember like the most about what I read at the start of the month. It genuinely feels like so long ago. There are a few days left of the month, but I don't anticipate that I'm going to finish anything in that time, so as of now I've read 6 books this month. Is it 6? Can I count? The answer to that is no, I cannot count. 7 books this month. And as usual, most of them were not on my TBR. A total of 1 of them was on my TBR, so look, it's better than nothing. I kind of have already failed on one of my goals of not rereading much this year. My last 4, maybe, reads have been rereads, but we'll get to them in a second. The first book I read this month was a graphic novel that I started in January and finished at the start of February, and that is Sheets by Greta Thumler. I borrowed the graphic novel from my library, so I don't have it to show you, but here's a picture of the cover. I really enjoyed it. The story was interesting and the art was just beautiful. I'll be honest, I'm not great at necessarily like appreciating every aspect of a graphic novel. I either speed through it for the story or just stare at the pretty pictures. But yeah, the colour palette was great. And it feels like I read it so long ago, I can't remember much about it. So, here's what I remember. There's a girl whose name I can't remember. Her family owns a laundromat that is not making any money, and there is a big businessman that wants to take it over and turn it into a resort or something. We also have Wendell, who is a ghost, and as we all know, ghosts love sheets. Do you see how they get connected? It's a laundromat and a ghost wearing a sheet. Honestly, it was very lovely. It talks about grief in an interesting and accessible way, and I thought it was overall a great time. I gave Sheets 4 out of 5 stars. The rest of the books that I read were all audiobooks, so the next audiobook that I listened to was Love and Other Disasters by Anita Kelly. I had heard of this book, but not really known anything about it. Decided to pick it up on a whim because I was looking for some like easy just romance, and I really enjoyed it. It's definitely not one of the books that I keep thinking about. I enjoyed it while I was reading it, but once it was finished, I kind of put it away and didn't think much about it, but it was a great time. The story is set during like a cooking competition show, which if I had known that, I would have read it earlier. I love that setting. I'm not gonna lie, one of my favourite fanfics is a Bake Off AU, and it had those vibes. But it was enjoyable. I really am trying to remember anything about the plot, and apparently like none of it stuck. What I do remember is the main character had really curly hair and the love interest was obsessed with it, yes. And okay, wow, my memory is garbage. My brain is a sieve. The love interest is non-binary, and that definitely played a big part of the plot, especially because this is like a reality show and there are other contestants, many of which are, what's a polite way of saying this? Monsters? Basically, there is just an old transphobe, and every time she came up, ooh. Anyway, it was a romance, it was great. People always want to know about spice level for romance, and I'd say it was like pretty decent spice. It was well written spice, so there's that. I gave Love and Other Disasters 4 out of 5 stars. The next book I read, I listened to the audiobook, and it is the one thing that was on my TBR. Can we guess what it was? It was Bunny by Mona Awad. This book, oh my god. Going into it, all I knew was that it was like vaguely dark academia vibes and like maybe a cult. Oh my god. I listened to the audiobook of Bunny in a few different sessions, mostly when I was cooking dinner. Now, one night I decided I wanted pancakes, and to go with those pancakes I was like cooking up some berries to like reduce, and it looked super gory right as something so gory happened in this book, and I was just like left feeling kind of ill, but also just like, what the hell is going on? This book was thoroughly enjoyable, but I just want, if you're gonna read this book, be aware that It is a horror. For some reason, I just didn't look into it. I was not anticipating what this book was. I will say, the end of this book left me just so like, whoa, like, oh my god. It left me with a lot to think about. I love that the cover is so like hot pink. I think realistically, like, it does not fit the tone of the book, but it fits the story really well. I loved this book. I don't think I let myself really think much about it when I finished, but now that I'm talking about it, this was an excellent book. It had one of those endings that left me theorizing, and that's one of my favorite things a book can do. It didn't leave me wanting a sequel. I didn't actually want to know more, but I wanted to, in my own time, think about like, what actually just happened? And it left me very, okay, I'm not gonna say that because that's a bit of a spoiler. It just left me like questioning reality, I'll say that. But yeah, I think this book was really great, and by the end of it, it left me thinking about things that happened towards the start, and like there were all these like connections. It was great. This book follows Samantha, who is in like a prestigious writing program at a university, and the only other girls in her course are all like this very tight-knit group of twee women who call each other Bunny. And after some stuff happens, Samantha finds herself invited to hang out with them. And then everything kind of devolves from there. It is so good. On the back, it's described as a fairy tale horror, and I think that fits it quite well. I will say, like, look up, like, content warnings maybe before you read this. It was a little confronting at times. I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars, but now that I'm thinking about it, I might bump it up to a 4.5, which is incredible. This might be like one of the best books I've read so far this year. Okay, wow, I wasn't expecting that right now. I really enjoyed this book. Bunny was the last new to me book that I've read of late. Here's the thing. You might know about me if you've been here before. When I am sad, when I am anxious, I like to reread my favorite books. I think a lot of us are like that. The thing is, I am sad and anxious a lot of the time. I feel like the regular visitors here know exactly where this is going. So let's truly take a moment. What do we think my next read was? Let's think. I was sad and anxious and reread something I reread often. Is anyone shocked? That's so dumb. Listen, I was not doing well this month. I needed some comfort, and Red, White and Royal Blue is that comfort. Yes, I've read this book 70 times. No, I didn't need to reread it, but maybe I did need to reread it. Do I need to talk about, like, what this book is and my thoughts on it? At this point, like, we've been there, we've done that. Red, White and Royal Blue follows the son of the first female president of the United States and Henry, a Prince of England. Not the Prince of England, he is not the Crown Prince. He's the youngest of the royal siblings. Anyway, they cause a big problem at the Crown Prince's wedding and go on a PR tour to, like, pretend they were friends the whole time and that they're not actually, like, enemies. Obviously romance ensues because, come on, of course it does. I mean, at this point, it's Red, White and Royal Blue and me. I don't know why I'm in such a weird mood today. I think I'm gonna have to title this, like, a chaotic wrap-up. It's not even chaotic, I just feel strange today. Anyway, I read Red, White and Royal Blue. I listened to the audiobook, actually. It's just so comforting to me. I know this story so well that I, like, can recite whole passages from it, and there is just so much comfort to that. To just put it on in my earphones and just, like, be amongst it. But yeah, I love this book. If you haven't read it, I do recommend it. 5 out of 5 stars. The thing is, that's a really short read for me. I can have the audiobook on, like, the fastest possible speed and still understand it all because I'm so familiar with the story. I finished it and was still sad, and so, me being me, what do we think my next comfort read was? It was actually kind of like an anniversary read for me. I read it for the first time around this time last year. There's another hint if you've been here for a while. What do we think my next read was? Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo is one of my favourite books. Like I said, I read it for the first time around this time last year and oh my god, it's... I don't want to be dramatic and say it changed me as a person, but like it definitely did kind of change me as a person. I don't know why I couldn't stop thinking about this book. I was going through and just like reading some of my favourite passages. I have a few sticky notes in here to mark out some of my favourite passages. For example, what bound them together? Greed? Desperation? Was it just the knowledge that if one or all of them disappeared tonight, no one would come looking? Or perhaps, maybe, the quote to rule them all from these books, for me. Ooh, hee haha, I feel insane right now. He needed to tell her, what? That she was lovely and brave and better than anything he deserved? That he was twisted, crooked, wrong, but not so broken that he couldn't pull himself into some semblance of a man for her? That without meaning to, he'd begun to lean on her, to look for her, to need her near. He needed to thank her for his new hat. Casbracker, the man you are. Ooh, we got another tab. What do we think this last tab is? Ooh. You're about to be rich, Kaz. What will you do when there's no more blood to shed or vengeance to take? There's always more. More money, more mayhem, more scores to settle. Was there never another dream? He said nothing. What had carved all the hope from his heart, she might never know. Inej turned to go. Kaz seized her hand, keeping it on the railing. He didn't look at her. Stay, he said, his voice rough stone. Stay in Ketterdam. Stay with me. She looked down at his gloved hand clutching hers. Everything in her wanted to say yes, but she would not settle for so little, not after all she'd been through. What would be the point? He took a breath. I want you to stay. I want you to. I want you. She turned the words over. Gently, she squeezed his hand. And how will you have me, Kaz? He looked at her then, eyes fierce, mouth set. It was the face he wore when he was fighting. How will you have me? She repeated. Fully clothed, gloves on, your head turned away so our lips could never touch. He released her hand, his shoulders bunching, his gaze angry and ashamed as he turned his face to the sea. Maybe it's because his back was to her that she could finally speak the words. I will have you without armor, Casbracker, or I will not have you at all. Speak, she begged silently. Give me a reason to stay. For all his selfishness and cruelty, Kaz was still the boy who had saved her. She wanted to believe he was worth saving too. Listen. I don't know if I'm gonna include all of what I just read, but oh, this book. Anyway, to get back on track, I was having severe Six of Crows brain rot issues, and I read the book again. Basically, it started because I was having Dark Artifice's brain rot, and then it just turned... Listen. Sometimes I just need to go deep into fandom to feel something. And my god, do I feel something when I read Six of Crows. 5 out of 5 stars. I love it. I do think it goes without saying that the next book I read was Crooked Kingdom. Are there quotes that I want to read from this? Yes. Are they spoilery? Probably. Sorry, I just started reading this quote in my head and I wanted to scream. This is another one of like the quotes. The thing is, I want to read this whole page. I can't just read the quote. So I'm gonna skip around, leave bits out, read other bits. You get it. He was going to break my legs. Would you come for me then, Kaz? When I couldn't scale a wall or walk a tightrope? When I wasn't the Wraith anymore? Dirty Hands would not. The boy who could get them through this, get their money, keep them alive, would do her the courtesy of putting her out of her misery, then cut his losses and move on. I would come for you, he said, and when he saw the wary look she shot him, he said it again. I would come for you, and if I couldn't walk, I'd crawl to you. And no matter how broken we were, we'd fight our way out together, knives drawn, pistols blazing, because that's what we do. We never stop fighting. Okay. I feel like really normal about these characters. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm actually like very normal and sane. I mean, there is the entire bathroom scene. that drives me absolutely insane. Every line of that is just so good. And then we have the iconic, ooh, okay, there was a TikTok sound with like a Billie Eilish song or something with this quote, and it made me feel like I was like walking into war or something. I don't know. Anyway, Wyland summoned every bit of bravado he learned from Nina. The will he learned from Matthias, the focus he studied in Kaz, the courage he'd learned from Inej, and the wild, reckless hope he learned. My cat just jumped up on my desk right onto my coffee. Honey, you cannot go on the windowsill, there's a curtain there. She said, actually, I can, and she is. And her tail is in my coffee. Great. Where was I? The courage he learned from Inej and the wild, reckless hope he learned from Jesper. The belief that no matter the odds, they somehow would win. I won't talk. And then he gets, like, beaten up. In the end, he was not Nina, or Matthias, or Kaz, or Inej, or Jesper. He was just Wyland Van Eck. He told them everything. Anyway, before I go insane, I read Crooked Kingdom again, loved it. Ooh! Seriously, if you've not read the Six of Crows duology, do yourself the favor, read it. Goes without saying, I also gave that 5 out of 5 stars. And there is one last book that I finished this month, and it has made me decide to take on a foolish endeavor, truly. But that is City of Bones by Cassandra Clare, the foolish endeavor being rereading every Shadowhunter book for a video. And may I just say, it starts in a rough place. Listen, I love Cassandra Clare, I love the Shadowhunter Chronicles. City of Bones is not for me. I did give it 3.5 stars because, like, it sets up the world, okay? But the characters are... Listen, it leaves something to be desired. I'm just remembering, I did write notes. Give me 2 seconds and I'll pick them up. I think this book is a product of its time. When was it published? I'm guessing 2007? There we go, first published 2007. You can tell, especially in the handling of queer characters. Also, just like the weird sexism thing that's going on. It's not great. There is definitely development over the book. Don't drop my coffee, please. Okay, thank you. Do you want to just stay there for a bit? Oh, no you don't. A moment. Okay, honey. What was I saying before my cat rudely interrupted me? Throughout the book, the sexism is like kind of questioned. Like, Clary is not like other girls, and neither is Isabel, but by the end of the book, they're both like, sorry, I've just never had like a girlfriend before, and I felt like I had to be me too. I don't know. They sorted it out though, and knowing what the rest of the series does, like, I get it, but also, why? Also, Cassandra, hey, love your work. Why did you do the sibling thing? Why? Listen, I do think it's because there was just no other conflict for the romance. Like, there was no reason they couldn't be together, but you had to have some kind of angst going on, and I guess it was just the decision that was made that that angst was going to be incest. I guess. Also, one thing that I find a little weird about this book, Clary instantly just believes in everything she's being told and seeing. If I started seeing things, started seeing people who were like doing bad things, I would not think, oh, they must be telling me the truth. I must be part of some demon hunting cult. I would think, oh, I'm having a mental break. I need to check myself into a hospital. I don't, listen. Maybe when I was 15, I would have been like, sure, yeah, this is my life now. I guess adulthood has worn me down a little, and I'm a little more cynical. It is insane to think about how far Cassandra Clare's storytelling has come from these, like, bland printer paper characters to the rich, compelling characters she has in her later books. I finished this book last night, and as soon as I finished it, I was like, I guess I'll read the whole Mortal Instruments series. And then I thought, oh, but I really want to read the Infernal Devices, and Well, The Dark Artificers is my favourite, so I have to read that, and I can't not read Tales from Shadowhunter Academy because George Lovelace is like the only character I've ever loved, and I mean, I can't leave out the Bane Chronicles, and Ghost of the Shadow Market is right there, and I love Gem, and I mean, The Last Hours was pretty good too, so I guess what I'm saying is I am rereading all of the Shadowhunter books, and I am hoping to make a video on them, because like, I'm not doing all of that and not talking about it. But yes, I finished this last night and I'm still just like floored by the way it ends. It's really like, oh, hey, by the way, your mom's this demon hunter, and by the way, the guy who has been like kind of a stepdad to you, he's a werewolf, and by the way, your dad's not dead, he's actually super evil, and by the way, the guy you're kind of dating is maybe your brother, and by the way, you need to deal with all of that on your own. I'm sorry. For why? Anyway, I feel a little bit insane. This is how I talk about books to my friends, and I thought I'd give it a go. And by I thought I'd give it a go, I mean it kind of just accidentally happened, and I hope you don't think this is really gross and uncomfortable, but yeah. I'm gonna go film the bit about City of Bones for the other video, and I was about to say I've been filming for half an hour, so I'm gonna stop, but my camera stopped recording because it had been filming for too long. Okay, so let's wrap this up. Let me put this down. It goes behind here, so I'm just gonna... I read 7 books in February. They were all pretty good. I'm back on my rereading thing. If you'd like to see that big Shadowhunter Chronicle video, I don't know when that's going to come out. I've just started it. This is going to be like months worth of reading. But if you'd like to see my future videos, you can subscribe, you can like this video. If you enjoyed this very rambly style of wrap up, let me know what your favourite book that you read in February was, and I will see you next time. Bye.